The slasher film is a subgenre of horror that has been dominated by iconic figures who have fueled our nightmares for decades. I'm talking the likes of Jason, Michael Myers, and Freddy Kruger. But one name that is often left off the short list of slasher goats is Lubden the Leprechaun. And look, I get it, due to his miniature stature, Lubden might not come off as all that intimidating, but this series did something very interesting to compensate for this shortcoming, and that's choosing to start as a horror comedy. You see, almost every great slasher franchise eventually devolved into comedy at one point. Michael Myers is beaten by Busta Rhymes performing kung fu. Freddy starts cracking jokes and committing Looney Tunes kills. Chucky kills a bad Britney Spears lookalike and says, "Oops, I did it again" afterwards. It just almost always happens, so by starting as horror comedies, I think the Leprechaun series really took some weight off of itself, because really the only big expectation should be to show some gore and get some laughs. And most of these films succeed in both regards.
Fuck you, Lucky Charms.
The first Leprechaun is an absolute joke, and that is precisely the charm of the film. We have a pogo stick kill. The cast literally distracts the Leprechaun by throwing a bunch of dirty shoes at him at one point, because for some reason he just can't resist shining dirty shoes.
Oh, William. Foolish William. The shoes are filthy.
It is a laughably bad, good time. And the best part is that the first film is actually one of the worst of the original series. It only gets more batshit crazy from here on out. The second film sees Lubden searching for a bride, randomly attacking some homeless dude to steal his gold tooth, disguising a lawnmower as a girl in order to kill someone. But perhaps my favorite part of this film is seeing a leprechaun partake in a drinking game.
I can handle me drink.
Now, while the first two films were fun enough horror comedies, the third entry into this franchise is where we really jump off the deep end. We ditched the boring locations and just started putting Lubden into fun environments where he could create iconic moments. You see, Leprechaun 3 takes place in Las Vegas.
Hey man, see you on the flip side.
Vegas, my kind of town.
So we get to see Lubden gambling, pretending to be a magician just so he can saw a dude in half. We even get to see him go flying out of a hotel window. This movie even gives us some leprechaun on leprechaun violence, as one of the human characters slowly turns into a leprechaun, because, well, why not? And honestly, if you have never seen any of these movies, you can just start at the third. There's no continuity to any of this, so you can just jump in wherever you like. Yet another pro of this ridiculous franchise.
Mac Daddy ain't dying today.
You might be asking yourself what the next step could possibly be after dropping a leprechaun in Las Vegas. How do you get even crazier than that? I'll tell you how. You throw that motherfucker into space. And I know what you're thinking, usually space is where horror franchises go to die, but space is actually where this franchise peaked, in my opinion. Leprechaun in Space finds a perfect line between insufferable and ecstasy, because this movie is just a straight up acid trip. Don't go in expecting a plot, there isn't really one. This movie is just an insane series of random occurrences, which I think makes it an undebatable masterpiece. We get to see a leprechaun kill a man with a lightsaber, turn into a giant, and flatten a person's face as if it were a pizza. Does any of this make sense? Absolutely not. But this is precisely why Leprechaun in Space has a Hall of Fame spot in the canon of so bad they're good movies. It's right up there with The Room and The Happening.
You know, hot dogs get a bad rap. They got a cool shape, they got protein. You like hot dogs, right?
If you're unfamiliar with this series, you probably think Space is about as far as this franchise can get stretched, and that it couldn't possibly get crazier than that. But once again, you'd be wrong. For the 5th entry, this motherfucker went to the hood. Yes, you heard me correctly. Leprechaun in the Hood is an actual film, and yes, Lubden the Leprechaun essentially becomes a pimp.
The bomb? Yeah, the bomb.
Now listen, this leprechaun will never be as scary as Freddy Kruger or as intimidating as Michael Myers, but no other slasher icon has ever or will ever become a pimp and spit some bars.
I come from the land of the Irish Spring. Dublin's the place where I learned my thing. From the Emerald Isle to your place in the hood, I'm the man of green, come to do no good.
Now, if you haven't watched Leprechaun in the Hood, please do yourself a favor and seek it out. But just to explain to you how bonkers the plot is, I'm going to read you a portion of the plot summary off of Wikipedia. And yes, I know Wikipedia is a bad source to cite. I'm sure my 7th grade teacher is crying and in shambles somewhere right about now. But just listen. Postmaster P and Butch, disguised in drag, visit the club in which the leprechaun has taken up residence. Postmaster P breaks the leprechaun spell on the zombie fly girls by having them smoke one of the clover joints. The duo then goes upstairs to find the leprechaun, who wants the dressed up Postmaster P to give him a Before proceeding any further, the leprechaun smokes the clover joint and passes out. I mean, this is actually a pretty accurate play-by-play of what took place during this stretch of the movie, and it is just as much of an acid trip as Wikipedia makes it out to be.
A friend with weed is a friend indeed.
Another thing that this movie, and really the whole franchise up until this point, has going for it is the fact that it knows what it is. If you're watching a movie called Leprechaun in the Hood, you're not expecting a 10 out of 10 incredible art house film with an awesome plot and great character arcs. You probably want to see a leprechaun kill some people, blaze up some of the devil's lettuce, and spit some bars. And this movie gives you precisely this. And in all honesty, this movie shouldn't really work at all. I mean, it's full of stereotypes, has no redeemable characters, and there's simply no rhyme or reason to it.
What? Yeah, come on.
But because everyone involved understood what this movie was, it succeeds all the same. Now, if you're in the mood to watch a scary horror film with it officially being spooky season, the Leprechaun series is not for you. But if you're like me and experience some burnout from just churning through classic horror film after classic horror film around this time of the year, a Leprechaun movie is going to serve as a great change of pace for you. And they certainly fit a niche that no other film or franchise possibly could. Anyways, if you made it this far, thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey through the batshit crazy Leprechaun series, please feel free to drop a like or subscribe for more Screen Stories content, and please let me know in the comments, what are some horror movies that you love that are so bad they're good? Also, what are some other misunderstood masterpieces that you'd like to see me break down? Until next time, peace.